Let's welcome today's guest, Ahmed. Hello, Ahmed. How are you?
Doing good. How about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm very, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming this morning. I don't know why my webcam is struggling being fixed, but I hope it will be okay. Can you hear me well? Can you see me well? Everything's
Yeah,
fine? Yes?
perfectly. Perfectly.
Okay, so thank you for taking the time to come. I know you were, I'm sure you're working hours and hours on Soul and Atom and so on. And thank you for accepting my invitation for this 1 hour AMA, so we can, deep dive a little bit on Soul protocol. And first of all, Ahmed, can you, for those who doesn't know you already, yet. What's your background? What led you to create Sol Protocol?
Well, first of all, my name is Ahmed. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Soul. I have a background in finance, a degree in BA, a master's in finance. I've been involved in the crypto space for way more than 8 years now. Before launching Soul, I started like my first crypto project, Atom Protocol, around 4 years ago. It is based on multiversX, a chain previously called Around. So we kickstarted DeFi on that chain. We built a lending protocol, a bridge from BitTransfer to multiversX, a liquid staking solution for both Tau and egld, and an over-collateralized stablecoin. So our TVL peaked at more than $300 million. And about 2 years ago, we started working on Sol, which I believe is a solution that has a really great potential to help resolve the current limitations of cross-chain lending. So yeah.
Okay, so it's based on your experience on Atom. So can you just, in one sentence, tell us what problem is Sol really solving in DeFi?
Well, if I were like to summarize it in one sentence, I would say that Sol is tackling the liquidity inefficiency between different lending protocols across like different chains.
It's very clear. And so the first question, and after we'll deep dive into the technology and maybe the mechanisms that you build. But first, why build on top of Aave, Morpho, and other DeFi protocol instead of competing with them? I mean, have you thought before maybe to try to compete with them with the experience of Atom on multiversX?
So let's say that our experience, through Hatam, allowed us, like besides allowing us to gain like a lot of expertise in DeFi and in lending, more precisely, it also like allowed us to highlight key inefficiencies in cross-chain lending, and which is what led to the initial concept of Sol, and also directed us toward trying to tackle like this issue. Let's say that as DeFi expanded, what we noticed is that it became scattered. And the problem is that like all the assets are isolated within their respective protocols and their respective blockchains, which makes it difficult for users to be able to maximize their capital efficiency, and forces them to have shuffling assets around to chase like better rates, to constantly like move their collaterals, to be able to manage their positions. And this constant like back and forth leads to unnecessary complexity and creates like idle capital too. So we understood that what we really needed is a more unified approach, an approach that connects these isolated protocols so users can access lending opportunities across multiple chains without the hassle of moving their positions across different protocols. So this is why we decided to follow this approach of, instead of competing with lending protocols for liquidity, creating a model where we create like synergies with them. So we build on top of other lending protocols. Any liquidity that goes to Sol goes to the lending protocol that has been chosen by the user, and same for all like borrowing actions. So this allowed us to create a more unified ecosystem, but also gives Sol the potential to become like one of the biggest protocols in DeFi because of those synergies, actually.
Um, when you spoke about Soul the first time, I remember I was summarizing it like as aggregator. So it was something that I was using. I'm not sure it's accurate. I think it's not basically. But can you tell us the
Yeah.
difference between other aggregators in DeFi and what you're doing at Soul?
So even on my side, actually, I do like to describe Sol as a cross-chain lending protocol aggregator. So
Okay.
Sol is built on top of established platform like Aave, Compound, Venus, and so on. And it is kind of like what 1inch did for dexes like Uniswap, Kyber, Balancer, but in our case, it's for lending protocols. So Sol is building like a layer on top of those lending protocols and allowing the users to take advantage of the yields of their preferred protocol and also like to optimize their positions. Like in simple terms, if you supply on assets to Aave on Ethereum through Sol, you can use that position to be able to borrow from Venus on the Binance Smart Chain or from Atom like on multiversX or any supported protocol without bridging any asset. So Sol will actually like change the way people can manage their cross-chain lending activity and provide a seamless and unified platform to be able to do so.
Mm. Um, DeFi it was born in 2000 and like 28 2027 sorry 2017 18 we can say, and it was the DeFi season in 2020. Why nobody did that before, and are you alone on that market at the moment, or is there other solution to do something like similar?
All right. So I would say that there were like a couple of protocols who tried to address this cross-chain lending dilemma, but they failed to do so. I believe because of the wrong approach that they were like following. So some of those protocols try to build their own liquidity and try to compete with other lending protocols on each chain. So we already know that it is hard to be able to compete like with Aave, Compound, or any Pioneer on an existing chain, and it is like nearly impossible to be able to compete with them on multiple chains at the same time. So those protocols like failed to be able to attract liquidity and to create like an efficient product. The second approach that some of them like followed is that they were relying on bridges. What I mean by that is they were like describing their product as offering like cross-chain lending, but in reality, they were moving like your collateral from one chain to the other, depending on where you want to take the loan. And the whole process is super inefficient. Sol is actually providing or offering a completely like new approach, an approach that doesn't rely on bridges nor competes with other lending protocols. Like in the contrary, we are like creating synergies with them, and we could like integrate any lending protocol that is like promising and that follows like some strict security guidelines in the future and have it inside the Atom ecosystem. So I'm sorry, like the Sol ecosystem. So what I mean by this is our approach allow us to create like synergies with all existing lending protocols, and this is like the main difference actually with other players who try to tackle this issue.
Okay, let's try to speak about the mechanisms, the technology, and my first question will be about liquidation. So, how will you manage liquidations across multiple chains and in real time?
So this is a very good question actually, and a very like interesting topic. So for us, what we try to do is to create a model where everything happens similarly to how it takes place in traditional lending protocols. But the only difference is that here it happens in a cross-chain manner. So there are like two main things that needs to be taken into consideration. So first, you need to understand how liquidations are being managed at the base protocol level. So one of the innovations of the model that we are following is that all the positions that Sol have on the base protocol can never be liquidated. So here, like I'm referring to the assets that will be like supplied on Aave, Compound, Venus, Morpho, Euler, and so on. So Sol is following a model where we always keep correlated positions, which means that when users supply ETH or ST we always use the same asset as collateral to be able to take a loan of the same asset and provide it to the users asking for it. So this model allows us to maintain correlated positions and avoid any liquidation of Sol positions on the base protocol in case of a price movement, which means that we can never be liquidated at the level of the base protocol. But liquidations still take place, but they have been moved at the level of Sol. So if you are supplying ETH and borrowing like USDC, for example, and then like the price of ETH decreases and your borrow limit has been reached, your position will be eligible at the level of Sol, and anyone could interact with the protocol to be able to liquidate you. So here there are like multiple scenarios or multiple types of liquidations. There are liquidations who are happening on the same chain. There are liquidations happening like on the same protocol. So for example, you supplied on Aave, took a loan from Aave, or there are like other liquidations that take place cross protocol. So you supplied like on Aave, but you borrowed from Compound, or cross-chain liquidations, basically. So here, the process is similar to how it takes place in traditional lending protocols too. So once your position is eligible, any liquidator could interact with it and define which loan he would like to repay and which collateral he would like to seize. So if you have a cross-chain position, for example, like some collateral on Ethereum, but some loan on Arbitrum, the user or the liquidator will need to repay your loan on Arbitrum and then seize your collateral on the Ethereum chain.
Okay, it's clear. Maybe let's speak about the state, because there are several blockchains that are involved in these transactions. So how does Sol ensure the atomic execution across chains? And maybe first of all, we can explain to the audience what is the atomicity in blockchain. Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want me to explain a bit?
Sure, you can go on. You're the host.
The atomicity is the fact that when you have a smart contract, you have an if and you have a then. And so the atomicity enable to have that you don't have the then if the if doesn't happen. Okay, so I'm trying to explain it very simply. I hope, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I understood. And so when the if is on a blockchain and the then is on another blockchain, so it's called cross-chain atomicity. So my question is, how does Sol will make it possible and will avoid any risk? So let's take an example. If I don't know, I borrow, if I lend on Ethereum, and imagine the transactions fails on Ethereum, and if I wanted to borrow at the same time, for example, on another chain, what will make it impossible on the other chain to make the transaction possible if the first one has failed? Sorry if I'm not clear. Yeah, it's okay. It's clear.
No, it's very clear. It's very clear.
No, if it's clear for you, I hope it's clear for the audience. But feel free in the comment to tell me if you need any more explanation. But it's, in my opinion, one of the biggest risk and pain point when you're cross-chain.
So let's say that to understand like what is Sol, Sol is like concretely a set of smart contracts that are being deployed on each chain that we are integrating and on each money market and lending protocol that we want to have inside the ecosystem, like basically. So one of our key innovations is that like we're not relying on bridges. So what we do instead is we are using cross-chain messaging technologies like layer 0, XLR, wormhole, or CCIP to communicate between networks, and this allows us to track users' positions and also like enable actions like adding collateral, borrowing, and so on. What I mean by that is once the user initiate a transaction, we have what we call a controller smart contract. So that smart contract is responsible of keeping track of the position of the user at all time to be able to allow the aforementioned interactions, basically. So once a user initiate a transaction, that transaction needs to hit the controller smart contract like assigned to that specific user. So if it is located in the same chain, the transaction happens there. If it is located in another chain, a cross-chain message needs to be sent, reaches the controller, update the state of the user, then a callback is being sent to the chain where the user, like for example, wants to take a loan, and only if all transactions are successful, all smart contracts are updated, the action is actually allowed. So if in the process there is like any transaction failure, for example, for any reason, so the action like will not be performed, and the user like won't be able to take like, for example, a cross-chain loan. So yeah, I hope it was clear.
No, it is clear because, and let's speak about this cross-chain messaging layer. So you're speaking about the layer 0, and you're also backed by Acceler, CCIP. So how will you decide which one will be used, and what happens if the message fails or gets delayed, or if something happened with these layers?
So what we try to do, let's say, all right, like in terms of the choice, there are like multiple criteria that we try to base the default mechanism that you are using. Among them is the security like aspect, but also you see like the flexibility, the tech, and the functionalities that this provider is offering. And on top of this, there is like the speed. So for us, like those are a couple of parameters that we're using to define which mechanism we'll use like as a default one. So as of now, layer 0 has been decided as being, you see like the default mechanism used to perform like all cross-chain interactions. But the beauty of Sol is that it has been made in a way that it is censorship resistant. What I mean by that is that it doesn't rely on only one technology. It has been designed, or the whole infrastructure has been designed in a way that we can integrate multiple interoperability technologies. So we can have, or like we already have integrated like layer 0, wormhole, we can integrate like Axelar, CCIP, and we can even integrate like in the future some innovative, more secure, faster interop messaging layer or solutions. So for example, like pi squared, and have it, you see like as either the default mechanism or one of our fallbacks. So in the scenario that you presented, in case there is like any issue with the default mechanism that we are using, and transactions are delayed or are not able to go through like for any reason, what we can like simply do is to pivot to one of our fallbacks and allow users to be able to resume their transactions. And funny enough, this is something that we were able to try out on the first day of our testnet release. So when we launched the testnet, we had like a really huge amount of users. We had a ton of transactions being performed each second, each minute. And on the testnet, let's say that the infrastructure of the interoperability technologies are not like as well maintained as the one of mainnet. So what happens is we broke the infra of layer 0 like in a way, and transactions like were not going through for users. And what we were able to do is just like to switch to wormhole, and users were able to perform or to resume their activities and continue with the testing.
Okay, very clear. I will take some questions from the audience because we are in the tech part, we can say, and after I will continue with the token questions and so on. Maybe first of all, so yeah, you mentioned a few protocols that you will be integrated at the launch. Can you maybe remind us which protocol will you be integrated with at the beginning? It will be mostly EVM ones, and after your maybe ambitions about not EVM ecosystem, I let you explain a bit.
So the goal of Sol is to unify between lending protocols and the liquidity of different like chains. Initially, what we want to do is to start like with the lending protocols with the most liquidity and the biggest user base, basically, but also the ones who are like following some strict guidelines in terms of security aspect, who are not like never exploited in the past and so on. Let's say that our goal through Sol is not to expand to as many chain as possible and to integrate like all lending protocols, but to follow a conservative approach at the beginning and only integrate the chains and the protocols where there is like the most liquidity and the ones who are like following some strict guidelines in terms of security aspect, having like a governance implementation like clear and transparent too. And Sol has also been created like in a way that it is chain agnostic, which means that it can be integrated to any EVM or non-EVM chain, as long as we have multiple interoperability solutions available there. So I would say that as of now, the different like AV and compounds and the EVM chains will be integrated originally through Sol, and we are like still defining which protocols and which chain we could integrate like from the beginning during the minute launch. And after the minute launch, the community will also take part in the whole process and be able to define the direction of the protocol, which means where to expand, but also which lending protocol will be integrated.
And of course, many of in the community were disappointed that it will not be live on multiversX. You explained why, of course, many times, but let's explain it once again. So why not at the launch, and will it be live maybe one day later? I'll let you the time to answer this.
Of course. So among, you see, like the protocols that we want to integrate. So besides like Aave compound, there is also like Morpho, Venus, Alert2, and of course like Hatom. And as soon as Sol is established, but we also have interoperability like technologies available on multiversX, well, we will be able to integrate that. But unfortunately, like it is dependent on some factors on which we don't have any control. So it depends like on the integration, on how fast it could be made.
So basically, it's the eternal soon about integration on Axelar that we're still waiting for, and Layer 0. First, I heard it was just one of them, and like recently, I read that it would be better than to wait multiversX to be supported by both. So, what's the condition to integrate multiversX in Sol protocol, or to make it supported by Sol? I don't know how to say it.
Sure. So for us, what is needed for Sol to be able to to work, basically what we need is just to have, you see, like one interoperability technology that will be live, actually. So this is like the real requirement.
No, because you have backup.
Yeah.
So is one enough, or two, but two is better? This is what I understood.
One is enough to make it work. Two is better to make sure that we have like a secure solution and we are like ready in case like anything happen. So we can see like multiple protocols, like Russian protocols on different chains, relying on only like one technology. So defining which one they want to use and relying on that. But the scenarios like that could take place is that if there is like any issue for like with that specific like solution, the protocol ends up in a situation where he's not able to operate. So this is why in our case we like to have a fallback mechanism just to make sure that we are like ready for all scenarios. And on our side, well, just to continue or to add a bit on the subject that you mentioned, so we are like in discussion with the multiversX team. We've been discussing with this for multiple months ago, actually, and trying to explore, like both of us, the integration of Layer 0 on the chain too.
Very clear. Another question is, are you in touch with major protocols, and how do they view Sol solution? Are they like bullish enthusiasts? How did they welcome Sol protocol?
Well, we are like indeed in touch with big protocols. We are in touch directly like with the Venus team, with the Morpho team too, a couple of other lending protocols. And I would say that it is like very well received. We are like also in touch with many foundations from different chains. And for them, like let's say for lending protocols specifically, Sol is beneficial. You see, like for their activity, Sol acts in a way in a decentralized manner, so it doesn't require like any integration, and it acts also as one big user that attracts liquidity to the different lending protocols integrated, connect them with other lending protocols and with other chains too, but also allows the optimization of the borrow, let's say, not the borrow power, but the borrow usage inside their protocols too. So other users like from different chains would be able to take out loans and increase, you see, like the total borrow on their protocol, which will optimize their revenue, their usage, and so on. So yeah, we have like very good relationships with them, and so in about, I'm not sure like exactly how much, but in 6 p.m. like GMT +1 today, we have like a space with Blockworks, and as partners like during the space, we have the head of ecosystem from Layer Zero and the co-founder of Venus, who will be like present with us. So yeah, I would say like this is a bit of information about our relationship with the different protocols.
Very, very cool. Another question, we mentioned the security before because it's absolutely essential. And we have a question about the audit. So how many, with whom, what happened? And I
Yeah.
give you the time to explain the audit part of a Sol protocol, which I think is a big part.
So I think for people who already knows us a bit, knows that we have, you see, like a very serious approach in terms of security, and this is something like very important for us. So we already like started a security audit and formal verification with the runtime verification. It would be completed in the upcoming 2 to 3 weeks at most. So we are already like at the final phase. And what we want to do, like once we complete that initial audit, is to have a second round of audit with multiple other partners. So the reasoning behind our approach was to first perform like one audit who will allow us to have like a really solid code base to remove like all issues that could be found by all auditors, and then start like a second round of audit with Open Zeppelin, EBDK Consulting, Hacken, Certic, so with whom we are like already like partners, so we all the ones that I just like mentioned, and this will allow them to go even deeper into the code base and help us make Sol as secure as it could be. So security and audits will represent, you see, like one of our major expenses. So most of the budget will be used in terms of making sure that Sol is secure.
Okay. I'm a marketing guy, and I see that Sol is doing a great job in terms of marketing, collaborations, KOLs, but also you launched yesterday the Yap thing. I am really, really interested in Kaito like platform, and you launched it, and it's I think the first time a project close to multiversX uses this platform. Can you tell us about it a bit? Why did you choose Kaito? Is it something that you decided, or maybe you have a CMO that worked on it? I don't know, but can you tell us a bit about this?
Well, I would say, yeah, like the team like is pretty big actually. So our CMO like played a major role in making this happen. It was like actually a pretty like, it's a big deal because like people think that it is easy to get like listed there, but it could be like compared to a listing like on Binance. Actually, you see, like it is like very hard to get, and for us, we think that it is like very good for the project. It enhances, you see, like visibility, exposure to allow us to target, you see, like a more vast audience to amplify the reach, and yeah, it plays like a big role in terms of reputation and credibility too.
It's very cool. You're playing with the good tools, in my opinion. Okay, let's speak about the So. What's the name of the token? How do you pronounce it? So, So.
Yeah, like internally, like we call it the SO token, like the SO token.
So token. Okay, let's
SO. So
it like that. Let's speak about the token first. What will be the main utilities? And can you tell us about, like, of course, in a very summarized way, the tokenomics, the allocation, and of course, I invite everyone to go to the documentation about the SO token to know more. But can you tell us a bit about tokenomics and the main utilities of the SO token?
Yeah. So I would say, like, to understand the utilities of the SO token, what will be like really important to mention before that is the revenue aspect of Sol. So how Sol like can generate revenue first. Because like on the revenue side, we've got like multiple streams of income. We can apply a reserve factor on both the supply and the borrow sides. We can implement a base fee on each cross-chain borrow interaction, and this is especially like powerful since this revenue stream is tied to volume and not TVL, and it's a revenue model similar to DEX's, with the difference that we are not splitting the revenue with LP providers, but the protocol is generating that fully. We also collect penalties through liquidations and fees like from flash loan services. We can integrate solutions like Stargate and earn a portion of the fees they charge for any liquidity we are routing through them. So the protocol has the potential to generate like a considerable amount of income. And our goal is to make Sol a utility-driven token and to directly link it to the protocol itself. So in terms of utility, besides governance power, we will implement a buyback module where all the protocol revenue will be used to buy Sol tokens from the open market. So this will create like a constant buying pressure and also will drive more trading volume toward the token. Then those Sol tokens will be redistributed across the different money markets to boost yields offered through Sol and to always ensure that they are like more attractive in comparison to the ones of the base protocols, which means that like Sol is replicating the same yields of the base protocol. So if Aave is offering like 7%, Sol will be able to offer 7% supply APY and additional yields that will come from the revenue of the protocol itself. After that, like token holders will be the one. Yes, I'm sorry.
Interrupt, and I hope you will not forget what you were about to say, but I recognize the Atom touch, generate revenue and to redistribute it to the users. And when I speak about tokenomics with project I receive for years now, it's not obvious to speak about revenue. And I think it's one of the biggest problem in Web3. It's about revenue. Tokens and NFTs and so on, issuers are mostly speaking about valuation, debt, and not revenue. So, to be completely honest, I appreciate it doesn't say anything about the success of the project, but the vision around revenue is indeed very accurate, in my opinion. I'll let you continue.
No, I agree. Maybe just to give a couple of comments of what you shared. So for us, having a strong like organic model is like very important. You can see the effect that similar like model had on Hyperliquid. So they are buying approximately, you see, like $1 million of their token like a day, and this is why everyone is super bullish. So Sol can also generate, you see, like a lot of income per day, especially like through the cross-chain borrow revenue stream that is based on the volume that will be generated through all borrow interactions by Sol. In comparison, like with Hatam, so with Hatam, we also like try to follow a similar model to have like everything organic and to base it actually on some real foundations, like on the revenue one. But the market, like the main problem is that like the market is teeny, and we don't have, you see, like multiple revenue streams, such as like the volume one that I mentioned, like about Sol. So Sol market is like, or like the Sol, like the market that Sol is actually targeting is 100 times higher than the one of let's say that Hatam was working on. Like if Hyperliquid was building on multiversX, he wouldn't be generating like as much revenue as it is like generating around. So this is, I would say, you see like one of the important things to take into consideration is that like Sol is actually targeting a market of multiple chains at the same time. So the revenue generation could be huge and the growth potential too. And to resume on the utilities of the token, so we went over like the governance power, the buyback modules, the fact that the revenue that will be generated and used to buyback will be redistributed on the different money markets to increase the yields and to have a way to attract like even more liquidity. Then token holders will be the ones defining what we are calling the gauges and emissions, which means that they will decide on which money markets will receive the revenue, but also how much will be allocated to each money market, which means like how it will be split among them.
This is
Besides
the
this,
governance part.
I'm sorry?
This is the governance part.
Well, it is linked in a way to governance, but we are calling it like gauges and emissions. Governance will allow you to create like proposals to define like the direction of the protocol, which chain it should like expand to, which protocol it should add, things that could be like modified in terms of the infrastructure. And gauges and emissions will happen periodically and will allow users to vote on where they want to distribute the revenue of the protocol. So they could decide to distribute that like in a more efficient manner, depending on which money market, for example, is attracting like the most liquidity, where there is like mostly like borrowers, or depending on their preferences, where some big holders are holding, you see like some of their positions and where they would like to receive like some revenue generation. But even like for those additional yields, they are not like distributed for free, or what I mean like for free, they're not distributed on all, you see, like suppliers directly. So we will also be introducing a position boosting module where users must supply liquidity and participate to the overall activity of the protocol, but also hold SOL tokens and boost their positions to be able to earn a share of the protocol revenue. So the goal is to build a sustainable ecosystem that is like really like rooted in real utility and also like long-term ecosystem growth.
Okay, I have a funny question for you. So will be rich with SO token? Of course, it's a joke, and
Never given like financial advice. What can I do on my end is just show, you see, like people the potential of Soul, what it could achieve, and the growth like potential. But then like it will be up to you to gather like all the informations and to analyze everything.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so let's speak about the launch of the SO token, because it's pretty much different as what we are used to be. Like it will be launched on X Launchpad, but also on your website. So for the multiversX community, the launch will be pretty much different as the previous ones. So I will let you the time to explain. So how it will happen, why did you decide to launch this way, and I will find during you meanwhile the post that Foudre made about it, which is long. We're speaking about Foudre, but it's very interesting to see the back to Ethereum vision. So I'll let you explain us how it will be launched and why you choose this way.
So yeah, for us, uh, we were like approached by the Xlaunchpad team, and we had like multiple discussions. Initially, like we wanted to hold the public sale on our platform alone, but whenever we are able to give back to multiversX, so we never refuse. And what we wanted to do actually, like with this sale, is to offer a model that provides some fair terms and a sort of fair launch for the community. So even in terms of the parameters of the sale, 25% of the total supply has been allocated to the public, and it is like more than 3 times higher than what has been offered to the pre-seed investors. And in terms of the parameters of the cell themselves, they have been made in a way to create like the fairer model possible. So we had enough of projects offering high FDV, you see, like from the beginning, and offering very low circulation supply too. And we wanted to promote something that we judge is like more organic, more efficient too, and yeah, that make like even more sense. So the valuation of the valuation of the round, along with the price of the token, will be based on how much like will be gathered or how much like will be invested by the community during this round, basically. So this is the closest thing you can get to a fair launch.
Okay, very cool, very interesting. And so let's speak about there will be no inflation. So how will you? Can you explain how will you reward users without inflation? And we'll speak about, of course, the revenue again.
Exactly, yeah. So this is what we've been mentioning like a couple of minutes ago, mostly, you see, like when discussing about the revenue and what are like the different streams. That's all we'll have. So we will never have any basically like distribution of free tokens on the lending protocol to bootstrap liquidity. We will have a huge potential of revenue generation, and all that revenue will constantly be used to buy like SOL tokens from the open market. So those same tokens will be the ones redistributed to liquidity providers, which means that it is like a delta neutral strategy that will be like performed. And in addition to that, there will be like multiple other utilities such as governance, gauges and emissions, the position boosting module that will like constantly drive demand for the token, and yeah, to make it like valuable.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, thank you very much. I remind everyone in the audience that you can, of course, ask your question. We still have a few minutes together. Maybe let's speak about the listing. I don't know if it's already set up, but what's first your ambition in terms of fundraise? Because it will be like uncapped. You don't know how you will rise. So what's your expectation? Do you lower your expectation? Sorry, I can't help it. No. So yeah, what's your expectation in terms of valuation and fundraise, of course? And do you already know on which exchanges the SO token will be listed? Of course, decentralized ones, but also a centralized one. Can you share some information about this today?
Well, to be honest with you, I really don't think about that. Honestly, I just want that everything goes well, and there are like no issues for all participants. You see, like no bugs and so on. In terms of the listings, so tier one like exchanges, of course. So we can't share more, you see, like as of now, but I believe that the community like will be glad with the exchanges that we'll be able to secure once the TGE will be able to, like once the TGE happens.
Okay, so maybe we can remind everyone the timeline to participate in the X Launchpad. I think it's tomorrow or today, the last day to KYC, no? Something like that?
It's not the last day to KYC, actually.
Okay.
So tomorrow, so like just to recap, the KYC process started on X Launchpad, I think for about 1 week, approximately like ago. So users were able just to save some time and like do the KYC in preparation like for the sale. Tomorrow, both sales on X Launchpad and on the Sol platform will start. So users who performed like KYC will be able to invest directly on X Launchpad. The ones who did not will be able to perform the KYC during like the whole period of the sale that will last like from the 16th to the 27th. And on the Sol platform,
So if you did not have time to KYC on X Launchpad, you still be able to invest on your website because the KYC will be available until the end of the sale, correct?
Even on X Launchpad,
Oh, okay.
the KYC is still available. You see, like until the 27th,
Okay.
actually. So users like have the freedom to participate either like through X Launchpad during the whole period or to participate during our platform too. But the KYC, you see, like is a manual process, and sometimes it could take up to 3 days. So yeah,
Yes.
for people like aiming to basically like participate, to not risk, you see, like missing the timeline. Yeah, like it's better to try to do it in advance, basically.
And to invest, it will be in USDC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the wholesale will be made like in USDC, but there are like multiple facilities, the facilities that has been put in place in order to make the whole process and the user experience pretty easy to users. So on Xlaunchpad, they have integrated dexes directly like on the platform, but also like some bridges to allow people who have stablecoins outside of the ecosystem or other assets to be able to use it like directly and without having to go like through the hustle of jumping like from one platform to the other to exchange like everything before being able to invest. And on Sol, we will have like both coin payment and X money integrated. So users will be able to define like which asset they want to use to be able to perform like the investments. So yeah, everything like will be like pretty straightforward, and I honestly believe that this is how things should have been. You see, like for each launch, like for all launch pads before, like all launches should have been made in stable coins, and yeah, it would have been like more practical for all parties. You see, like for the chain, but also for the project who will be able to secure, you see, like their treasury in a stable asset too.
Yes, it has always been an issue. This project raising money in EGLD and after selling the EGLD to pay the bills, of course. So yeah, you prevented from this issue through the community's eye, but also through the selling pressure of the EGLD. So when you announced that the sale will be made in USDC, I told myself, yeah, they all should have done it before. But anyway, it was also, I think, giving utility to EGLD. Also, you need to stake EGLD to participate in these great opportunities to invest in the Web3 startups and so on. But I think yes, it's more sustainable to make it in USDC. Definitely. So, what's the timeline for the product? Because it was on test. It is on testnet at
Yeah.
the moment. So, how is it going? First, the testnet, and when do you think the product will go live?
All right. So the testnet has been live for like a bit less than 3 weeks now, I believe. It has been like going very well. We've been receiving an insane amount of traction. We have more than 290,000 users, more than 122,000 unique wallet interacting with the application, performing quests and so on. We are reaching more than like we exceeded like the 2 million cap of transactions performed. So yeah, like the metrics have been crazy,
It,
and for us,
is
yeah,
it above your expectations?
let's say that
I
yeah,
always ask the question because we know what is happening. Okay, but you of course have objectives when you launch such a campaign, and so sometimes you can be disappointed, and that's part of the game. And sometimes you can be enthusiastic about the results. So that's why
yeah.
I'm always asking. So, what was your expectation? And today, so how do you feel about this?
Well, for me, like it's pretty crazy. Like it's way above the expectations that we had, especially like during this short period of time. And for us, like the whole thing or everything like has been aligned. So we've been receiving like an increase traction. The market conditions have never been better. So yeah, like 2 million transactions.
It, it,
I was
it's
like never dreaming about that. actually. So I can't imagine what we will be able to achieve like during mainnet, where it
Yeah.
will be like also incentivized, because like just a few billion of dollars in terms of TVL like attract will be like very easy to achieve there.
And so, yeah, you're right. The timing is just pretty good. When you launched on testnet, it was the pretty much the day where Donald Trump decided to cut the tariffs, and so the market bounced a lot. So it was really really a good timing. Let's speak about the metrics, the TVL. So what will it be? It will be the TVL of the aggregation. So you will be able to display the TVL among all the chains on which you're supported. So you can display a huge TVL, actually, you know?
So in terms of the TVL, it still represents any liquidity that goes through Sol and then is supplied on the different lending protocols. So it needs to go through our smart contract first, but like the exciting aspect about this is that Sol has the potential to grow as big as all the different lending protocols that are like integrated, because we can take a portion of the market like from Aave and redirect it to it, a portion of the market like from Compound, from Venus, from Morpho, from Euler, or any lending protocol that we could integrate. So it really has the potential to become like as big as any of the lending protocols that will be integrated, because it can, you see, like while working in synergies with them, take a portion of the market from each one of them separately. So like a funny way that I like to describe it about, like sometimes I say that Sol is like the liquid staking of lending protocols, because it allows you to supply your assets on Aave, and in a way gives you like the power to be able to take a loan. You see, like from Compound, Morpho, Venus, and so on, and also like from different chains. So yeah, you can
Yeah,
see it as the Lido of lending protocols.
definitely makes the liquidity more liquid. We have a question in the comment. Ahmed, do you have any more information about the integration of Acceler and multiversX? I'm pretty sure that you cannot reveal such thing, but you know the multiversX community. Yeah, I can't wait about it. It has been announced end of 2023, and we can see that Axelar is communicating about the new chain that they are supporting, and multiversX is not part of them yet. So do you have any information? I have to ask the question.
Yeah, I would say that without, you see, like divulging things that are like a bit confidential, what I can say is the Axelar integration is imminent. So the team like has been working like very hard on the multiversX side, but also like on the Axelar side to make that happen. It's already like on testnet. It has already been audited, and now it's just like a matter of respecting, you see, like a certain agenda, a certain like timeline, if you see what I mean, to be able to have this live, basically. But yeah, I would say that it is like pretty imminent. Like there isn't like much things left to be able to launch it. Everything is pretty much ready.
Thank you, Ahmed, for this. We still have a few minutes, so let's say if we have any more questions. Will a SO token be an ESDT from day one?
So let's say that the Sol token is or will be like an ERC20 token, and it will be bridged to multiversX. So yeah, it will be like an ESDT in a way, but a bridged one. So users will be able to use it here. Yeah, also
Like
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 interact with it
like the PEL token. It was
in
the
a
same.
way. But the difference is that you see, like for Sol, it's not like specific, like Sol is not specific to any chain. So users of Sol will need to be able to have the possibility to stake it in the booster, not only on Ethereum, but also on Arbitrum, Polygon, Avalanche, Optimism, like any chain where like integrated into Sol with which they want to interact or where they could hold their position. So it will be launched like in ARC20, but it will be bridged to all integrated chains actually. So we will have like liquidity pools on all chains where Sol like will be integrated. So it can be like tradable there too.
We have a funny question. Does a soul token be a soul-bound token? Let,
It
let's
was like very practical.
let's explain what is a soul-bound token. Maybe some
Yeah.
people don't know it. It's a token that you cannot transfer. So, will it be possible to transfer a SO token?
Well, it won't be like a soul bond, but what I can like already share is that it will be like an OFT. So basically, like following like the layer 0 standard. So in due time, it will be announced like with layer 0 and made like public too, was like the TG approaches.
Okay, thank you very much, Ahmed. Really, it was insightful, like always when you come to the show. I let you, the few seconds we have left, if you want to say a last word to the community.
Well, always a pleasure coming here, and thank you like for inviting me multiple times. And yeah, what I can say is that we are like very happy with the traction that we've been like receiving. It really like allowed us to stress test the protocol to make sure that everything like was working well, working like as intended. And if you have like any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us on Telegram, on Discord, or directly you see like to me or any of the other team members. We will be happy to help. And of course, if you are like building or aiming to build like a solution on top of Soul, please don't hesitate to reach out to us because we will gladly help you and make things happen. Like we are like very active. I'm available like 24/7. Literally, you can just like try to contact me and yeah.
Okay. Just a last thing. Are you coming to Proof of Talk this year? Because last year you won the pitch contest. So
Yeah.
will you be there this year, Soul, and maybe especially you, Ahmed?
I might. Like Sol will be there for sure. Last year was an incredible like experience. We won like the first prize, and it meant a lot to us because on the second position we had you see like some really big projects such as like usual too. And yeah, we've been invited to this second like edition just to attend as a partner. So Sol like will be there. We'll have like a couple of team members that will be like present. Yeah, maybe I will be there too. Just trying to confirm a couple of meeting like with different partners, but yeah.
Would be cool, and yeah, Benjamin would be there too. Um, Thank you very much, Ahmed. Take care, and see you around on GM Web3.
Thank you. Wishing a good day and yeah, talk soon.